All right, Brent Fikowski here, aka the Professor, with the Professor Project, chatting about another week of training, September 4th to September 10th. Another big week, and same format as before. I'm going to go through it again real quick, but basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you kind of repeat that again Thursday, Friday, Saturday, rest day, Sunday, different to what we've done in the past. And the idea here is you kind of have your toughest day on Monday and Thursday, little easier day, and then you repeat, or in the case of Sunday, you have a day off. So the Monday and the Thursday, heavy leg day in the morning, tough CrossFit sessions in the afternoon, Metcons and so on. So that's the biggest day. That's the day that's going to be the most time in the gym, the most exhausting. And then Tuesday and Friday, you've got upper body strength in the morning, focused on kind of gymnastics, right? Press and pull. And then in the afternoon, a little more like cardio intervals, mostly on the machines, the bike, the rower. And then on Wednesday morning and Saturday morning, you've got a long run. And then on Wednesday afternoon and Saturday afternoon, you've got either gymnastic skill session or swim. So lots of cardio in there, right? You're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 full of the 12 sessions. 4 of them are pretty much just either on machines or running or swimming. 3 big sessions that are mostly upper body stuff, and then 2 leg strength sessions. So just make sure on those leg strength days that you're you're taking those seriously, and the hope there is that you're able to go into those with some energy and some time and some focus, because you're really only spending 2 days a week getting the legs strong. So make sure that in some in other iterations of the program, we've done like 3 days a week where you'll do some form of like a snatch, a clean, a deadlift, a squat. And so now that there's just really 2 days, there's still other days during the week where you're using your legs, obviously, but just means like, hey, when it says squat or when it says deadlift or when it says clean, and there's percentages, like make them challenging, like move really well and do them with intent and with a lot of focus, because you don't get like a bunch of at bats, so to speak. You get that kind of 2 opportunities a week. And then the same goes for the CrossFit, like conditioning, right? I mean, obviously on Tuesday and Friday mornings, the upper body stuff, some of that sort of ends up looking like Metcons or WODs or whatever you want to call it. But really, you're only doing, those 2 main sessions a week, the Monday evening and the Thursday evening, where you're doing like, CrossFit workouts and intervals. So, and some of those are pretty big, right? Like there's a lot there. There's rest, work, rest, work, rest. You kind of might be sort of in it for like an hour where you're like, oh, 3 minutes of work, 3 minutes of rest for like what seems like forever, 10 rounds or something or more. Yeah, focus on those, right? Like, make sure you're moving well. Make sure you're just like really taking the time in the warm-ups and stuff and the setup of the workout to make it count. And, there's like an expression, you don't need harder workouts, you need to hit your workouts harder. And I think that's true, but also, you need to hit them with focus and, because that might be your only chance all week to work on cycling a barbell or doing butterfly chest to bars or whatever the skill is in there. So it's like, all right, like let's pony up and let's make sure that I got better in that session. The Wednesday gymnastics skill session, I want you to use this as your time. Like I'm always going to put in, some things that I'm working on or some things that I think you can work on, a combination of the two really. And, so definitely focusing still on those long duration handstand holds. I've been loving that. And I found that's really worked in the past. It's something that I've done before and I want to like really hammer home on this year. I think looking at the list of skills at CrossFit competitions, there are so many, right? There are so many damn skills. And there are so many handstand skills, right? If you're on a pull-up bar, you really have like 4 main skills, which is the toes to bar, chin over bar, chest to bar, butterfly, and the bar muscle up, and now the pullover. So you have 4. But if you're looking at like being upside down, you've got kipping handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups, strict wall facing. You've got handstand walks. You've got handstand walk up and down a ramp and a stair. You've got support to handstand. You've got freestanding handstand push-ups. You've got handstand pirouettes. And then obviously all of those have like little variations as well, where you could do strict handstand push-ups to a deficit, or with your hands on dumbbells or with your hands on parallettes. And all those are a little bit different, right? There's like a skill to each of those. And same with kipping and so on. And so, you're looking at way more than 4, right? So with the pull-up bar, you've just got 4. And nothing about that changes. It's like the pull-up bar is there. It's the same at every comp pretty much. Same in the open. The standards never change. It's just like 4 things to work on. And then the handstand push-up, or anything upside down, there's so many. So it's like, okay, how do I do that? Like, how do I work on all those things? And the answer is you kind of don't, right? You pick and choose, the ones that you feel are going to get the rest of them as good as possible. And so I think that the biggest thing you can do is just practicing handstand holds, just accumulating time upside down with your hands like this. So put a line on the floor here, put a line on the floor there, and try and keep your hands inside of that. It's going to feel very narrow. If you struggle with your shoulder flexibility, you can go a little wider, but try to really just get in that nice handstand position, pressing up, pressing tall, elbows locked, and either balancing just on the floor or balancing on parallettes. On the floor, it's more like fingers. Parallettes, it ends up being more wrist that controls. Spending time upside down, right? 20 seconds up, 1 minute rest, and just repeat that, accumulating time each week, accumulating a little bit more. And that's really going to help, all those handstand skills. And then the other one, obviously, which we, this is a staple of the Professor Project programming, is just pressing, right? Just going from here to here, overhead pressing. And that's going to help your strict, your kipping, all the handstand push-up variations. But then it's also going to help, your thrusters and stuff, because we do a lot of this motion in CrossFit competitions. So you need to be getting in those reps and getting really comfortable with that and being really strong in those positions, both for like 1 rep max, but also for high repetition. And then the other thing, obviously, with the running, there's a lot of running in here, right? And we've kind of dove right into it. And, that's something that I'm comfortable with, that level of volume, but it can be a lot. And so, adjust accordingly based on your abilities, right? So if that, you're running almost close to 10K by the end of the week there, and if that just seems overkill, stick to something similar where you've got the 7K run at zone 2, and then you've got the intervals where you go 750 meters fast, 750 meters back to zone 2, and you're alternating again. So you're working up to close to 10K, but you can drop that down to 5, right? Where you just go, okay, I'm going to do a 3K easy jog or 2K easy jog, and then do those intervals as written, 750, or just maybe like 400 meter repeats. If you're at the track where you go 400 meters fast, 400 meters easy, and do that for 5 rounds. So a bunch of options there, but yeah, like all things, right? Scale. I think a lot of times the scaling is, people just try to scale the load on the bar is the simplest one. Like, instead of 115 pounds, I'll do 95 pounds. It's like, yeah, but you can scale everything else. If a workout, you're looking at the total reps, you're looking at how much time you have in the gym, and you're like, man, that's like 6 rounds for time. That's going to take, I'm just going to do 4, or I'm going to cut the reps in half and still do 6 rounds. It's your training. You know yourself better than anyone. And, I was talking to a games athlete this year who's been at it, as long as me, more or less. And, he was talking about just taking more control over his training this year, and it felt like it made a big difference, right? So he'd get his program from his coach, and he did quite a bit of his training, in a home gym or a different gym, and then he'd kind of go to that location where his coach was and some other athletes were. But, he was taking more liberties with the flexibility. And this was, a really good games athlete that has, a really good coach that's also customizing it, and he still felt like he needed to just adjust it, whether it was like based on the day or just based on what he knows works. And it's this funny balance. It's like, well, then why doesn't he just write his own programming? And it's like, that's tough to do, right? It's tough to write your own programming because you're probably, sometimes you'll just do too much, and sometimes you won't do enough. Like, I think if I was to program for myself, I'd end up just doing like accessories and make myself feel really good, and just like, I'm going to do like split squats, and I'm going to do like 1 arm overhead press tempo, because I like doing that kind of stuff. And I feel like it makes my body feel good, but sometimes, you need someone to tell you to do like Fran. You're like, I don't really want to do that, but that is going to make me better. Anyway, that's my little rant for the day here. And I love this swim session, by the way. I've done this before. This is kind of like a go-to staple of mine. If I don't know what to do, is just do a warm-up and then kind of just do like some back and forth. What's funny is it is basically the same as that running piece, where you go like easy and then fast and easy and fast. But the idea here is to keep those, those easy paces consistent every time, and then the sprint paces or the fast paces to build each time. Like I love building. I love doing negative splits where each interval gets a little faster. Feels like I get a lot of value out of that, and it feels like feels like fitness, feels like CrossFit. That's pretty much it. Other than that, there's a bunch of awesome workouts in here. I could go through them all, but they're a lot of fun. I know I had fun doing them, and I hope you guys do too. So any questions at all, as always, hit me up, and hopefully enjoying this new training block style, and we'll be in touch. Lots more to come.